This is Rockin' with J-Man. It's with Albert Bouchard. How you doing, man?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Good. So tell me why you re-released Imagination. Imagination.
Imaginos.
Yeah, imagine. It's such a complicated name.
Yeah.
I'm.
It's a pretty long story, but I'll try and make it quick. In 1981, I left my former group, Blue Oyster Cult, and got a solo record deal to make this record called Imaginos. And the record company, after it took a long time to make the record, after a couple years, they started saying, we don't think we can sell this record the way that it's going, that you really should call it a Blue Oyster Cult record. So that's eventually what happened. They changed everything around on me, the record company, and also on the band. So I wasn't happy with how it came out at the time. And, although I have some friends in a band called Metallica, and they were very encouraging. They really liked it. And they even, their leader, James Hetfield, wrote in a magazine, wrote about it and said that, it was his favorite record and blah, blah, blah. So over the years, I would get emails from fans that would say, we'd really like it to be the way that you originally intended it to be. Because, after a while, the story got out there that I wasn't happy with how it came out. And I felt like the record company didn't promote it at all. And I was just very frustrated with the whole thing. And it's 32 years later now, this year. So it's taken me a long time to come to grips with, should I redo this and do it the right way or not? And because of the lockdown and the COVID, I had time to revisit it, and I completely remade the whole record. I didn't do it just by myself. I used a lot of studio musicians and people that I knew from around the country. And I would send them the tracks and they would send it back to me remotely. So that seemed to be how we had to do it. And I signed a deal with a new record company where they were totally into the whole idea, and they went along with it. So it was, that part of it was fixed. The recording part of it was fixed. Everything was, even the credits and the artwork, which I didn't like. I got it all the way I want it this time. And so that's really why I've done it, is because I can.
And released on the album, you started with your brother?
Yes. Well, I started playing with my brother when he was 10 years old and I was 12. I'm a year and a half older than him.
Wait, 2 years?
A year and a half. His birthday is in November. It was actually a couple days ago, and my birthday is in May. So we're like 6 months apart, but also a year and 6 months apart. So, so we started in the summertime playing in our little band with my cousin, who was, he was also 10 years old. No, I think he was 11. That's right. He's 11. Because he's only 6, his birthday's in December, but he's only 6 months younger than me. So, but there was the three of us, plus one of his cousins who was also same age. So that's when we started. And we played all through high school. And then we went away to college and didn't play together for a while. And then I joined this band Blue Oyster Cult, or I formed this band Blue Oyster Cult with one of the guys that I knew from college, and and Joe was in the band. My brother Joe had joined the band after. Well, that was a whole other story. But so we played together in Blue Oyster Cult for many years. When I left Blue Oyster Cult, he was still with them, and he played with them. And then about 14 years ago, we started playing together and in another band called Blue Coupe, which is myself, my brother Joe, and Dennis Dunaway from a band called Alice Cooper, and we knew in 1972 when we toured with Alice Cooper. So we've had that band now for about 13 years. So we've been doing that, and we had a whole tour. We were supposed to go on a rock cruise in Sweden, and from Stockholm to Helsinki. COVID came, that canceled that. So we had just put out a new record with that group, and we didn't get a chance to promote it really. So I don't know what's going to happen when everything opens up again, but I know for one thing that I'm going to be playing out and doing some shows.
I love the video for Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
How did you come up with it?
Okay, so the idea for that one, so my youngest son, I have two sons, Jacob and Abraham. And Abraham, we call him Ace. He is a filmmaker. He went to film school. And so each time that we do a video, we think, well, how should we approach this? And a lot of times we take the ideas from either movies or TV shows, other movies or TV shows. Like the first video that he ever did for me was for this other group, Blue Coupe, and we took the idea from two Quentin Tarantino films, from Dusk to Dawn and Reservoir Dogs, and we mashed the two ideas together and made a thing. So for the Blue Oyster Cult video, we took the idea from this German TV series called Dark. Have you ever seen Dark? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, it's kind of adult, so I don't know if you've seen it, but
well, I heard about it.
Yeah, it's all in subtitles, and so that's where we got the idea to do, this character who lives in different worlds simultaneously, and goes back and forth in time as well.
Now Metallica covered one of those songs of this album. What do you think of the cover?
I thought it was excellent. As a matter of fact, in my version on this album, I tried to incorporate so this song, it's called Astronomy. And I think Metallica was the first group to do a cover version of that song. But since then, there's been many covers. There's been a jazz cover. There's been a girl group that covered it, made it kind of poppy. I did a cover of my own song in the original Imaginos, which was a dance tune, like something you'd see in a spin class or something, But so this version, I tried to incorporate as many versions in there. So at the very end of the song, I sing the part that James Hetfield sang on the Metallica version. But I love that version. Yes, to answer your question.
Okay. Do you have tips for Lars?
Do I have what for Lars?
Yeah. Tips.
Oh, tips. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I met Metallica after I wasn't in Blue Oyster Cult, and after this whole thing with Imaginos went south for me. I got a job writing for a magazine called Modern Drummer, And so I was a writer, and I did a monthly column in the magazine. And after a while, I said, I'd like to interview another drummer in this band called Metallica. They'd never heard of them before. It was when Ride the Lightning came out. And so I had to talk the guy, Rick Mattingly, into letting me interview Lars Ulrich. And so that was the first time that he was ever in a drum magazine. And I remember at the time, I told him he needed to hit the drum, the snare drum, because he was saying, why does he has a drum tech, a drum roadie, right? And his drum roadie's name is Lars as well. He's from Denmark, just like Lars Ulrich is. And so Lars, the roadie, he would say, why does Lars always sound better than me when he's setting up my drums? And I said, well, one thing is that he's hitting the snare drum right in the center of not to the side. Lars would he'd kind of get distracted and hit it off to the side instead of hitting it right in the center. So that was one of the things that I told him. And I think that he took it to heart because he sounds great now.
I heard originally you guys did not like the name Blue Oyster Cult. Is that true?
Yes. You know, it's funny because I did an interview yesterday with a radio station, and the girl was saying that when she first heard Blue Oyster Cult, the name of the group, she thought it was scary and mysterious and scary. And I said, well, when the manager said that was going to be our name, right? Because we couldn't decide on a name. We were arguing, and finally we said, Sandy Perlman, you have to give us the name. And so he went into a room with the other producer, and he came out like very quickly, 30 seconds later, and they're laughing. They're saying, how about Blue Oyster Cult? We're like, no, that sounds like a menu. That sounds like something on the menu of a Chinese restaurant. We thought it was a joke. It was hilarious.
What would probably be your dream name for your band for Blue Oyster Cult? Well, I don't know what to call it. But what would actually be your dream name for it?
Oh, I don't know. I like the Imaginos name. The Imaginos band, that would be cool. I thought at one time that I would have a band called Imaginos.
What about Kings? Instead of Queens, you just put Kings.
King.
And then you did a tour with Kings and Queens. That would be perfect. Queens. Kings.
Queens. Oh, Kings and Queens. How about that?
Yeah, for the Kings and the Queens.
That would be good, yeah.
And you guys were the first to see. Oh wait, and you guys were the first to use the umlaut.
The umlaut. The umlaut in the name. Yes. That just seemed like, we were trying to be different. Everybody is. There's a million bands, and we were trying to just try and be a little different from everybody else.
What do you think about bands copying that?
Oh, it was okay. I guess, I guess they didn't care about being different.
I guess so, maybe. Now you left the band in 1985. Why did you quit?
Well, I actually didn't quit. They had asked me to leave in 1981, and I did leave the band mainly because I was having personal problems. To be quite honest, it's a hard job being an entertainer. And there's a lot of pressure and a lot of temptations. And so I was having personal problems. So they asked me to leave. And so they got another drummer. And then in 1985, that drummer quit suddenly right before a tour. So they asked me to come back and play with them for that tour, which I did. But by the end of the tour, there was a lot of unresolved things. Like by that time, by 1985, I had resolved all my my differences, all my problems with my wife and all of that other stuff. So I was good. You know, I was leading a really healthy life. I was running marathons and things like that, and really getting healthy and not doing any of those other things that I was doing that interfered with my mental health. And so, but I resented how it happened, how they had asked me to leave and then they didn't seem to care that much. So there was a lot of resentment on my part towards them, and I think maybe they resented me too. So after that tour, we decided that I was not ever going to go back, you know. So, but now since then, I played with them a lot. Like starting in 2012, we had a reunion, which was a lot of fun. I mean, way more fun than we ever expected it to be. You know, we were just basically doing it for the 50th anniversary of the band. And we all got together, we played. And then every year since then, I played with them. And in 2016, I did a short tour, you know, a half a dozen shows. We recorded a live DVD in California, which came out amazing. And they asked me to play on their new record that just came out just before my record came out. So everything is good with them. We resolved our differences, and we're kind of back to where we were when we were just friends.
They brought you back in 1986 for the Albert Returns tour, and that didn't last. What happened?
Well, yeah, I think I just explained that there was some issues that were unresolved, and we never dealt with them at the time. Then in 1995, actually, was when some of the guys sat down with me and we talked about it. And that was good. It was always good to talk about, you know, when you have a problem with somebody, to talk it out, you know, and in a calm and logical way.
But
Imaginos.
Imaginos came out in 1988. Do you think the band would get back together then?
Yes, I did, and they didn't. So that's what happened. I thought that they would have to have me come back because they didn't even know how to play the songs. I had recorded the songs with another group of guys, and when it came out as their album, I was like, I've got to show you how to play these songs. And they're like, nah, we're not going to play the songs. We got all the hits. We've got Godzilla and Don't Fear the Reaper and Burning for You. We don't need to play these songs. So that was a very disappointing thing for me.
They went on tour for the album Without You and your brother. Do you regret not being in that band anymore?
No, not now. Now everything is good. I mean, we've successfully resolved our differences. We are friends again, and I've had a great career. I got to meet President Obama. I worked in a high school as a high school music teacher for 31 years, and I have taught many amazing students, thousands of students, thousands of graduates, And some of my students have gone on to be stars. Like one of them is a guy named ASAP Rocky. I don't know if you're into rap, but ASAP Rocky, he's kind of, he was notorious because he got into a fight in, I think it was Japan or somewhere, and they put him in, no, Russia. Sweden, that's right. It was in Sweden. He got in a fight in Sweden and they put him in jail, and President Trump had to get him out. So that was the big thing, but that was my student. You know, the odd thing is that I taught in a high school in Manhattan, in basically in Harlem, and it's kind of a rough school, and we had a strict no fighting policy. So if anybody ever got in a fight, whether it was in school or outside of school, they had to leave. We did not allow them to fight. So so he was my student, but he never ever fought. He was not a fighter. As a matter of fact, he was extremely respectful. The teachers loved him. They absolutely loved him. So, but I also have had a couple other students that I had one student, Carmen Lasainte, who played George Washington and Hamilton on Broadway, and just a bunch of others that have become professional musicians. One guy plays bass with the former leader of the Fugees, Wycliffe Jean. So I've had lots of great, you know, amazingly talented students, and also, you know, just regular students, you know, who became, you know, productive members of society. I had a student named, what was his name? I can't remember his real name. Oh, well, I'll remember it after this interview is over, but he went by the name of Big L, and he was murdered. So he was one of my students also. So famous rapper, you know, one of those sad stories, I suppose.
What was his name again?
Big L.
Big L? Yo,
yeah.
Big L coming out in the hood, player. Coming with my truck.
Yeah,
Lamont.
That's right.
Lamont, correct?
Lamont, yes. Lamont Williams. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was his name when he was my student.
Ever think about doing a song with ASAP?
Nah, not really. I mean, yes, actually I have thought of it, but not really seriously, because that's not, even though I enjoy rap, I love Tribe Called Quest, and I like Logic. Logic is one of my favorites. I like I think Little Uzi Vert has some amazing hooks. What's the other guy from around my neighborhood? Oh shoot.
Wu-Tang?
A Boogie with the hoodie.
Hey, yeah, A Boogie with that hoodie. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got some great hooks too.
Yeah. What about Wu-Tang?
Yeah, they're okay. You know, I mean, I thought that what's her name's Public Enemy was an amazing group, and I thought that Wu-Tang was trying to like copy that. You know, they weren't that original compared to Public Enemy. You know, or KRS-One was also an amazing rap group. You know, there's been some amazing groups.
When do you think you had enough cowbell for Don't Fear the Reaper?
The day I did it. You know, it's funny because when they were mixing it, I was like, the guy's name who mixed the song was called Shelly. His name is Shelly Yakis. He went on to do Tom Petty and, you know, and Fleetwood Mac and all these other people, but he was working with us, and I said, Shelly, can you turn that cowbell down? It's just a little distracting. And and the guy, the producer who had asked me to play it, because it wasn't my idea, it was the producer. Just like in the skit, it was the producer asking me to do it, and the producer's like, if you turn it down anymore, you're not going to hear it at all. I said, yeah, that's good. And Shelley's like, yeah, you can't really turn down. That's as good. That's as low as I can make it. And so that's what happened.
Any more cowbell things?
Well, I think that
We need more cowbell things.
I think it's amazing that Will Ferrell could even hear the cowbell on the track, because I made it so soft, you could barely hear it, but he decided to make a whole skit out of it.
What do you think about that sketch?
I think it's amazing. It's brilliant. It's brilliant and very funny, because first of all, the cowbell does not fit in the song.
Wait, I'm going to give you a choice. I can do the hip hop voice, like, what up, player? Or I can do the sweet, young 9-year-old voice. You can choose. Make it quick.
I say sweet 9-year-old voice.
Okay. Do you sign the cowbells and sign them?
Yeah. Yeah, I sign lots of cowbells all the time.
And sell?
What's that?
And sell. Sell them.
And sell them. Yeah. Not me myself, but my record company does it. The band that I play in, they sell cowbells. So, it's like I donated some stuff to a charity that I support, which at this point it's called Save Our Stages, and it's to give financial support to independent venues where young people can hone their craft. Small clubs that have live music, less than 500 people. Usually like 50 to 100 people, and to try and sustain these guys during this time when they can't have shows. So one of the things I gave was a Fender bass that I've used for years, and I signed it and all of that. And that went for a lot of money, but it also cost a lot of money. I gave them a cowbell that I signed, and the cowbell was like $10 or something, right? And they sold it for $500. I was like, holy cow, that's good.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good, man. Out of all the places you heard your music, what was your favorite?
Oh, God.
I might give you a hint that might be your favorite. It's called a movie, but it starts with an S.
With a
S?
X?
It starts with an S.
S.
It's a 90s movie, and it had a demon in it. With a virus.
Oh, geez. I didn't.
Like Stand?
Oh, The Stand.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
You
The
missed a $1
Stand.
million question, and he got it. Good.
And of course, well, I'm trying to think, I've had songs in lots of movies now. As a matter of fact, a lot of my income these days comes from songs that are in movies. Like there's a TV series in England called, I can't remember I think it's called Career of Evil. And that's the name of one of my songs that I wrote with Patti Smith. But Don't Fear the Reaper has been in a lot of movies. It was in Gone Girl. It was in the very last episode of Orange is the New Black of the last season. Let's see. There's just so many movies that have used either Don't Fear the Reaper or one of my other songs. Red and the Black was in a few movies. So yeah, I liked it. I like seeing him in the movies, although I can't say. I think that maybe the most excited that I was ever about hearing a song of mine was when it was the first time I was going to see the Alice Cooper group. This is a long time ago, probably 1971, maybe, or maybe it's January of 72. I'm not sure. I guess it had to be in January of 72 because the first album would come out, and the first single was a song that I wrote and I sang. It was called Cities on Flame with Rock and Roll. And we were going to see Alice Cooper. We were driving across the George Washington Bridge, across the Hudson River, and WABC AM radio. This is back in the days when AM radio was like how people heard stuff. You usually first heard a song in your car. Well, we were in our van going to see the thing, and they played Cities on Flame, and we started jumping up and down in the van and shaking the van. It was so funny. It was the great, and then so we're really happy, right? And we go and we see Alice Cooper, and they are amazing. It was one of the most amazing days of my life. I'll never forget it.
Your movies, your music is in 79 movies, shows and shows. So your music, and maybe Oyster Cult, something like that, is in 79 movies and shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that many, but I know there's a lot.
But man, this was like maybe this was your good luck when you released one of your famous songs. You better watch out, buddy. You got another thing coming. Do you listen to the Blue Oyster Cult new album? If so, what do you think of it?
Okay, so I listened to all their records, actually, to be honest, just to see what my old buddies are up to. And I have to say that I think that this new record that they did is the best thing they've done since I wasn't in the group. I would say since Fire of Unknown Origin, which came out in 1981. So it's the best in a very long time.
Do you think you and your brother will ever join the band again?
I think that it's very possible that we will play together with them sometime in the future. I know for me, I'm certain that I will be playing with them again at some point, God willing. But and I don't know about my brother. My brother is a little more reluctant to play with them, but I certainly would do it. And I'm sure that if the timing was right, that he would play with them too.
Do you with COVID going on and stopping bands from touring, do you think classic rock bands will be last to start back up? Classic rock bands?
Well, I don't know. I was talking with the manager of Blue Oyster Cult, and he manages and books the band, and he said that his what he imagines is going to happen is that the smaller venues will open up first. So if you're a band that is used to making $100,000 a show or even $50,000 a show, a band like Metallica or something like that, you will either have to play in smaller venues or not play. So it depends. I'd say that the mid-level bands or the bands that are starting out have a little bit of an advantage when the COVID first opens up. So I would say that you're going to see a lot of bands that you don't usually see if you go out to see a band, in the beginning. Eventually, it'll all seem like a big bad dream, but right now it's reality.
What do you think about Ticketmaster saying you can't go to a concert with proof that you had the COVID vaccine or tested negative within 72 hours before the show?
I think that's probably a good thing to have, although I'm not sure if it's going to be that effective. I think that it depends on where you are. You know, if you're in a zone where there's not many cases, then yeah, that should be fine. If you're in a hot zone, it might not be enough.
What's next for you?
Right. The very next thing that I'm working on actually is to do a live stream of the Imaginos concert from my living room. And so to that end, I bought, I have a whole bunch of pretty good cameras, like some Canons, and I just bought a switcher to switch between the two different cameras, and I have a mixer to mix all the sound in with the backing tracks. So, and I have lights to light it all up. So it's really just a matter of practicing enough that I am able to pull it off. And so I've been doing that, and that'll be the next thing. We'll be live streaming the entire album, live. And that hopefully I'll be able to do that in December. So, and then after that, the next thing will be in January. They're going to release a extended version double vinyl record set of the Reimaginos album. So that'll be part of that. And that's as far as I can think,
But older guys are high risk, so it might be scary for classic rock guys.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's another factor. Although, most of my friends are not that concerned. I think that people in my age bracket, which is low 70s, they are concerned, but they also feel that, if they're in relatively good health, then they're more concerned about their older friends, and I am too. I'm more concerned about my older friends than I am about myself.
That is very good.
And for that reason, some of my fans are older too, so I'm concerned about them.
What is your favorite memory from playing a perfect show?
Well, I would have to say that the most perfect show I believe I played was only last year.
Oh,
last year was was probably the most perfect show that I ever played, and that was at the Sweden Rock Festival. And it wasn't just that I played well; it was that all the things that could go wrong or right went right. And even the fact that the Sweden Rock Festival, they have it every year, well, except for this year. And it's a 4-day festival. It's in a town that is east of Malmö, Sweden. Malmö, Sweden is across the channel from Copenhagen, from Denmark. Okay, so you can take a ferry there. There's a big long bridge. It's about 20 miles long, and you can drive over, or you can take the ferry, and then it's another 40 miles east of that. So it's in this kind of rural area, and the whole town comes out and works the festival. Everybody in the town, and it's one of these things where, and people come, this gigantic campground on all around and so the festival is basically in this campground, and people come with their campers and their vans and their sprinters and their little tents and whatnot. And it always happens in the first weekend in June. So we were the last act to play after 4 days. So by 4 days of music and drinking and and camping out, most people are exhausted. So this was maybe not the best time, but as luck would have it, we weren't the last. There was another act called
Mac.
I want to say Mastodon, but it's not that. It's a Polish group, heavy metal group. Anyway, they were supposed to go on last. They got stuck at the border, so we ended up being the last show. And right before us was Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, who hadn't played in Europe in over 20 years. So everybody stayed to see that act. And then when they finished, when the last note died away, we started playing our set, and we played all our hits right in the beginning so that people knew who we were. So we ended up with a gigantic, crowd of almost 20,000 people, and they went crazy. We played, and we played really well. We were really, myself, I was playing drums, so I was doing all the crazy stuff that I used to do, like bouncing the sticks off the drums and snatching them out of the air, and doing all of this crazy stuff. And it was a great show, and we filmed it. We had a 24-track recording of all the different instruments, so we've made it into a video. And when I watched the video, I'm like, that was really as good as I thought it was. It really was good. So I would have to say that's the most perfect show I think I've ever done. And it was great. The audience was going crazy.
How do my followers follow you?
How did what?
How do my followers follow you?
Oh, well, I have a channel on YouTube. It's Alt Bouch, ALTBOUCH. So if you go youtube.com/altbouch, you should come up with my channel. And I put all kinds of stuff on there. I do for 20 episodes, I do a vlog series, which has me just doing, some crazy, Casey Neistat kind of stuff. But usually it's just me playing an instrument and talking about playing that instrument and how I came up with whatever I'm doing, So, or sometimes, like last summer, I built a backyard pub for my girlfriend in the woods behind her house with my youngest son, Ace. So we did a bunch of stuff there, with the building of it. And I just gotten a drone. So we did a lot of drone stuff, with the, over in the woods there, and showing the building of the structure. It came out really good, actually. So I worked as a carpenter when I was a young man.
Thank you for being on my show. I hope the next time we talk is at backstage on one of the shows. You are
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
You're a really good drummer. And I really want to take drumming lessons. Is it built on rhythm? Like a very good rhythm? Like very good hypeness?
Well, I have to say when I started, I was not very good, but I really wanted to do it. And one of the things that helps is if you play to a metronome. You have some sort of device that keeps you on the beat, and you just get used to playing with that and playing steady, and anybody will want to play with you. If you're a steady drummer, you will be in demand, even if it's just, in your junior high school or whatever, they'll want you to play with them.
All right, dude. Peace. You're really cool.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Okay. Bye.
Okay. See you at the backstage. I want your shows, dude. Peace.